Minutes. Let me see, where are we? For those of you that are on my YouTube channel, please remember to put your questions in capital letters. For those of you Hold that on, let me mute this. Are there two lives playing? Let's just see. All right, Lovey. So, so great to have you here. Welcome to Self-Love Sundays. Self-Love Sundays, the whole point of this gathering is that we regroup at the beginning of the week in such a powerful way that we ground, reconnect with the body, and get very clear, because it's very easy for us to fall back asleep. It's very easy for us to go back into the state of survival, disconnect, confusion. And all of those states cause us to move out of alignment with what is harmonious, most harmonious. That's really our goal. That's what we want to focus on. So today, this week has been extremely intense. And as I mentioned, these months are going to be very, very intense, both emotionally and in the things that are happening in the world around us. And there will be more. There will be more changes, more major events that will cause us to come into these questions of, what we're doing and how to navigate them. So one of the primary goals that I have this month is to let's pinpoint and narrow down to some of the things that are making it challenging to come into the 0 point. What are some of the things that are taking us away from that state of connection with ourselves and truth? And of course, all of you are doing your own personal shadow work, but the process of doing the shadow work, sometimes people get confused, and it is actually something that we can simplify. And when you become so confused about all of these techniques, what we need to do is go back to the simple basics of the present moment. Remember that within the present moment is everything that is required. Everything that is required. And the thing about this, and today's conversation is about hologram. We exist in a hologram. Now, the reason why we fall asleep back into the illusion is that we forget that this is a hologram. Okay, we are literally existing in a hologram. And when you really understand that, every part of your being is contributing to the co-creation of that hologram. And what that means is that every emotion, every thought, every movement that is done in a state of unconsciousness is creating a ripple effect in your environment, in your life. So for many of us that are training to be in this present moment, we wake up consciousness, we come into our awareness, but then next few minutes, we go back asleep, and we keep disconnecting. And so our bodies are basically looking like this, kind of like a little light that's flickering. It's barely flickering, right? It's barely turning on. And so the idea is that we train ourselves to understand how this multidimensional body works enough to reconnect, stabilize, harmonize within our body, that connection to the source. Okay, and this is something that we are going to train together in that co-creation. So let's take a look here and see. Welcome everyone in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Maria, Ashley, Barna, so great to see you from Hungary. We have here in the chat Pono.
Oh no, sir.
Oh, does somebody have unmuted? I'll just ask you to please mute yourself while you're here on the call. Okay, so yesterday we had a really awesome program. We talked about the incarnation cycle. We talked about from soul to the physical. So the process of the incarnation, the process of the incarnation cycle, the intention and the mechanics of that co-creation. If you wish to access the replay, it will be available to access for the next 7 days. You guys can, join by registering, and you will receive a password to join. And those of you that have joined have received the password this morning. So please go ahead and access the slides, additional material, and then the recording of the class. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about, I have a question that was really powerful here that I want to start with. Let me come over here to this question. Today, I want today's class to be a little bit more in terms of practical application. Okay, I'm not finding the question right now. Let me see if I could have my assistant send me over the question because there was an interesting question that came up in the chat. Let's talk to Ayola. Yola says breaking addictive habits, limiting beliefs has been coming up a lot over the past couple of weeks. I've been observing and addressing as I recognize making shifts when possible. Do you have advice around addressing this process? Yeah, so addictive behaviors is something that is heavily triggered this year. And the year that we're in right now, this entire year, the theme is emotional patterns, emotional repetition. It is needed in this year to end the habits that are self-destructive for you. Why? Because we are moving into intensified energies. Not only solar flares, but just the energy in the collective is intensifying. And what happens when that intensifies is that all of the little subconscious things that we're trying to process, they become magnified. So for those of you that have things that have been holding on to for a long time that you cannot process, that you cannot let go of, they are really going to come up into your space right now. Okay. So how do we handle addictive behaviors? I actually talked about this a couple weeks ago when I was talking about the response, the biochemical response that is occurring when we are addicted to something, the seeking and reward dynamic of addiction. And my hope is that when you understand your biochemistry, you can kind of biohack those addictive processes. We want to reach the root emotion, the root cause that we are running away from. Okay. Most of the addictions to whatever it is that you're dealing with, is a result of some point in your life where an event occurred that caused such a tremendous disassociation with your innate truth that was not in resonance with the external experience. Okay, so when your innate truth doesn't resonate with the external experience, there's a mismatch in the processing system of those experiences. And what happens is that we leave the body, we disconnect. There is a fractalization that occurs. Okay, so let me explain the fractalization because I think that that would help you in the healing of this process. Because when the soul becomes fractalized through a trauma, you have to understand there is a split that is created. Okay, it is literally a split. And the split that occurs at the time of the fractalization, essentially that fractal becomes a vibrational frequency. It is a vibrational signature that is created by the disassociation. So if, for example, the experience caused a tremendous amount of fear or anger, okay, each one of those has a different vibrational frequency in that emotion. So that frequency of fear, let's say in this example, is a signature. It literally has a numerical code that is a frequency, which means a wave pattern. And that wave pattern, when it's such a heavy, dense wave, it cannot integrate into the human because the human is disconnected from the wave and what they are co-creating the very next moment. Okay, so what happens is that there's a disconnect here, and so the fractal is created. The fractal sustains that wave for as long until the human reintegrates this fractal wave. So what is healing? Healing is going back into the wave, feeling and reintegrating that emotion in order to bring it back into neutral. Okay, so that the disconnect, the disassociation that's created from the trauma and the physical body makes it difficult for integration to occur. So what ends up happening is that we have an accumulation of fractals of ourselves over a periods of time in our life. So remember, time is not linear, it's simultaneous. And these memory points, these frequency fractals, become points of reference in our field. And every time that we have an event that is oscillating at the same vibrational frequency of that traumatic moment, this comes into play. It will be a flash of memory. And the flash of memory is not just in the imaginary vision of a memory, but literally your nervous system has memorized a reaction. Your muscle system has also memorized a reaction as a result of the nervous system. And so the entire body goes back to that moment where it occurred. So this becomes so intense. The resistance to feel these difficult emotions and to understand how to process the emotions becomes so intense that essentially we begin to crystallize over time. The resistance, so there's two ways of crystallization. Okay, there's a crystallization into higher octaves, but there's also a crystallization process into lower octaves. Okay, and it's more of a stagnation. It's a disorganized crystallization. Remember, Masaru Emoto talked about the harmonious geometry created with harmony and high vibrational patterns of emotions and intention. The opposite of that is disharmonious geometric structures. So what is happening in these fractals that are created at that time of the trauma is that you created a disharmonic geometric structure with a heavy wavelength that cannot integrate into the organism of the physical body. So emotions are more than just thoughts or, just thoughts. I mean, you're talking about, you are co-creating an entire geometrical structure in this hologram. And what happens is that the fractalization of yourself being in disharmony with this fractal that's at a different structure, it's not a match to your organism because your organism is very complex. And the vibrational frequency that you're mostly having, the emotion that you repeat over and over again, essentially that becomes your architectural structure, your vibrational signature. Okay, so this is why it's, and in the hologram, in this holographic model of co-creation, this vibrational signature, what you are oscillating, the shape of your multidimensional body, is communicating to the holographic system what we are in resonance with. This is the thing. So coming into healing and breaking these patterns requires you to go back to the moments that these experiences are created and organize the disorder of that structure that was created. Okay? How do you reorganize that structure? So first of all, let's break down what happens. There's a disassociation. The disassociation occurs because we don't know how to respond. We don't have the file cabinets in the memory to be able to apply that information and react and respond to the event that's happening. This can be as simple as dad going to work one day in a bad mood and doesn't say hello to you. This can be as severe as an abuse, a physical abuse. The brain responds the same way. The way the trauma is stored in the body is the same. Okay, so remember that the brain and that brain processing system doesn't know the difference between imagination and a real life experience. This is really, really huge, because if your organism doesn't know the difference between an imagination and an actual experience, then it works both ways. We can really fall deep into the depths of despair as a result of in imagination, and we apply imagination to participate in our suffering every day. If you are not in the present moment, you are repeating and reimagining your trauma over and over again. So this is the foundation of addiction. Because when we are resisting the emotions that were created in the trauma and yet re-abusing yourself by reimagining and reliving the trauma over and over again, look at how much disharmony we create in the body. So we really need to be mindful of the emotions that we are feeling, the thoughts that we are feeling, and learn how to feel the emotion fully. Emotions are extremely powerful. They are packed with information, but most of us are afraid of emotions. We resist the emotions. We're terrified of seeing and feeling what is inside of those emotions. So what I find is the most powerful thing in my sessions with my clients, the moment that they go into the emotion and they feel it, they begin to discover, hey, after a while, this emotion kind of starts, the physical sensations of the emotion, when you're in a state of observation, they begin to get lighter and lighter and lighter until the body doesn't feel it because you're observing. And remember what you are. You are consciousness. And when consciousness is observed, it changes. This is how powerful you are in terms of being a co-creator of the holographic experience of your life. And we need to truly understand what that means and apply it to all of these aspects of this generation of experiences that you are as an organism. Because the experiences that you're having, you are generating with your subconscious thoughts. That's the strongest input into the hologram. All your subconscious belief systems. Okay. The second is the emotional energy. Emotions are energy in motion. Okay. It's energy that you are directing. You are investing and you are infusing into the hologram. So what happens is that when we don't feel those emotions fully, that resistance accumulates and the body doesn't take a moment to observe the emotion, so it relives. And this becomes intolerable for the human. Because on top of it, because we haven't see, the thing is that in feeling the emotion, in facing the trauma, is actually the healing. Okay, and this goes with physical pain as well. In sitting with the pain is all the information of how not to be in pain anymore. But in our existence, because this is a very convincing hologram, we completely follow the external and we get lost in the illusion of the material, of the physical. We believe what we're seeing outside of us, and so our attention seeks outside of us in that hologram for something to satiate the pain that we have not felt, which could be overcome in maybe maximum an hour. Okay, so this is the thing, that people live lifetimes stuck in reliving and re-experiencing trauma every moment of their day. Okay, because they're not in the present moment. If you want to learn how to master this holographic experience, you need to come into the present. And the second, if you want to master the physical, you have to master your emotions. The way that you feel about things. You cannot be in denial about how you feel. This is one of the biggest things that, after not feeling the emotion, the next thing is the denial. There is a resistance for truth because sometimes truths can feel very threatening. And we have been trained in this hologram to seek pleasure, to seek immediate, comfort. And so what happens with that is that we reach outside for anything that will make us feel better than what we don't know how to process in that moment. And addictions doesn't have to be drugs or alcohol. It can be, we're addicted to all kinds of things, and most of us aren't honest enough to admit that. We are addicted to social media. We are addicted to attention. We're addicted to music. We can be addicted to sex. We can be addicted to seeking the approval of others. You see, the addiction is a biochemical system. Okay, so we need to understand how to hack that biochemical system, if not working with those root emotions. Because what triggers chemicals in the body are the emotions. The emotions are thoughts and intentions. So in order to reorganize this system, in order to break the habit of the addiction, we first need to know, what is it that we're running away from? What are we resisting? So please sit for a moment, okay? And it's very interesting with addictions, okay? And I have worked with a lot of people with addictions over the years. And one of the major things, and it's very interesting to observe the amount of pain that is stored. In my opinion, we should have a class, just like we have put sex ed into schools for elementary. We should have a class on how to process and deal with emotions. Humanity would change completely, because emotions, when we don't know them, they are weaponized against us, or we weaponize them against ourselves. They are at the root of illness. They are at the root of stagnation, disassociation, and fractalization, which is essentially how the human becomes deeply entangled into the matrix through generations of incarnation. And you are, and I explained this in depth yesterday in our class, how we are incarnating in the family lineages, and how those family lineages and the challenges of those lineages participate. There's a co-creation process of the ancestral lineage and you, that you are designed to come into that ancestral lineage and break those repetitive patterns of trauma in order to raise that collective into the next octave. So this is super important, because the addictions that you're dealing with, they don't just belong to you. These are generations of addictions. And remember that addiction is passed down through generations. Okay, so if you have a parent that was on drugs or addicted to, something like that, pretty strong, that's in your DNA. And most people become very addictive. They have addictive personalities, and it doesn't mean that they're going to be addicted to the same thing, but they just become addicted to something else. This is in the genetic memory, the holographic field and the morphogenetic field of this ancestral lineage. Now, morphogenetic fields are also in spherical structures, fractal-like spherical structures. We have a morphogenetic field. Of course, we consist of a morphogenetic field, but the morphogenetic field is in resonance with the morphogenetic field of our ancestral lineage, multidimensionally, existing simultaneously, the access to the memory of our ancestors that is encoded in our DNA. We have all of that information available to us through this vessel, which is why healing is available, which is why integration is available to this human experience, which is why when we do integrate those things and we become whole, we become one and the field expands. Why? Because you are becoming aware of yourself within the points of reference inside of your morphogenetic field. The morphogenetic field is that memory, the ancestral memory. And so when we begin to uncover these programs that we're holding subconsciously, we are lighting up those points within our field. And it's up to you whether you stagnate the information that you come aware of, or you allow it to become fluid. And the ability to transmute through the alchemization of the lower frequency crystallization and wave into a high vibration frequency and wave is the process of expansion of light. You are untying knots of energy that open up and allow the higher octave of frequency to move through you, healing your body, healing your mind, healing your ancestral lineage, and reuniting you with this greater organism. So there are several processes here when it comes to addiction, but as I mentioned, to get to the root of that is to address what we are running away from in the first place. And please understand, one of the biggest messages I got this morning in my meditation, we need to love truly the inner child that has felt abandoned, damaged, lonely, hurt, suppressed. We need to cultivate compassion and hold space for that inner child. So the inner child is the one that is stuck there. Okay, so remember I mentioned those fractal points in your field that you keep referring back to. These are younger in the human timeline, younger versions of ourselves. And yet the consciousness is the same throughout your entire life. Because this is so much of a hologram, just the external illusion is changing. But you as a consciousness, you as a soul, you have never changed. You have always had all the information available to you. And we know this because at the time of birth, the moment you come through the birth canal, you enter a 0 point where the memory is severed, right? And so our entire life is a process of recuperating our memory as to who we are. Not the matrix, not the ancestral history, all of it, including all of this. Who are you? Because you are not the suffering, you're not the trauma, and you're not the immediate experience. We need to have that very, very clear in our mind. And this is what it takes to break the matrix, to break the illusion that we need to look outside of ourselves. There is nothing outside of you, absolutely nothing. Why? Because you are creating what is around you. You might think that you live inside of a structure that is a home, inside of a town, inside of a country, but in reality, this is a hologram that we are projecting. And we have instilled within us the software of this holographic creation, this world as we know it with its structures. It's a software that's embedded within us that help us co-create. And I know this to be very true, and some of you have experienced this yourself, but how do we know this to be true? That when you come into the 0 point and you come into this unification with yourself, what you begin to discover is synchronicities, magic, manifestations. This is the proof for you to understand. Because if when you come into that present moment of observation, you are able to tap into this level of synchronicity, that means you have a lot more power in what you're co-creating. Thank you, Ayola. And of course, I'll go deeper on that emotional healing process as well. Ashley, I am the observer. I'm going to love and support this human. Yes, please, please love. Yes. Ashley says, can this be why we repeat patterns? Yes. So, and here's another thing that's really interesting. Remember, the nature of the architecture of this universe is spiral. Okay. It's a fractal. Okay. Self-similar repetitive patterns. Okay. So when you realize this, And you really understand what that feels like, to exist in a cyclical pattern by design. The architecture of your environment, the architecture of creation for you as a human in this physical hologram is spiral repetitive patterns. You understand that in order to interrupt them, it's the awareness that will break and interrupt those repetitions. Anything that is going in repetition becomes dormant. It goes into hypnosis. So the idea of having, and this is why it becomes deeply embedded in the subconscious mind. So these repetitive, you know, behaviors, they can work for you or against you based on the vibrational frequency that is being input. If you're repeating something that in the present moment is unconditional love for yourself, awareness, compassion, patience, that repeated, behavior will create an incredibly strong foundation where you are anchoring a vibrational frequency into your signature, and your organism changes. Just like when you eat healthy or you exercise, your body changes. Okay, it's the same way. You cultivate specific thoughts and emotions that are cultivating your vibrational frequency. And so our vibrational frequency, the signature of that frequency that is made up of all of our subconscious thoughts, beliefs, and actions and intentions, is what is going to input into the creative system. Okay. Charles says, I've been triggered last few days. I tracked to the trauma from getting scammed online. There were feelings of shame, guilt, and helplessness associated. I've been sitting with it and meditating to transmute it, but it is still resonating. What is the next thing I can do to heal from that? Acceptance. Okay. The thing is that we are in such resistance with our truth, that parts of us, and there's a lot of anger and self-hate when these things happen, when we participate in the destructive experiences of ourselves. We need to be compassionate enough to look at the you that chose this path, because there's a reason. We were seeking something. What were we seeking? This is why I go back to this thing, that our awareness in the present moment with our emotion is the creation of everything. If the moment that you started to feel that we needed something outside of us, whatever it is that we thought we were going to get by this internet scam, as you mentioned it, what was being sought in that moment? Okay, and don't go to the superficial. I want you to go deep into the emotional. That's another thing. We become desensitized with what is valuable and important. And the can't say that word, desensitization of ourselves is essentially something that is programmed within us through television, movies, films, watching and repeating and mirroring the behavior of people that are disconnected from their emotions. And many of us, our parents behaved in that way. It is all about survival. And when a human is in survival, what we keep being told is that we have to do whatever possible in order to not feel pain, and to satiate that pain with whatever it is we can reach. That's the message that is being sold through films, media, music. This is very destructive for the human, because what it does is it creates an incredible feeling of helplessness. And I remember in the early journey when I had to take a look at some very difficult choices that I made in my life. That was one of the toughest things to break out of, because we have the ego, or the identity, wants to preserve itself so much that it will believe the lies that it tells itself. We literally want to embody victimization, victim role, as a result of the things that have happened to us. And let me tell you, this is the same for two examples. When people abuse us and we're helpless and we cannot change those circumstances, or when we create our own self-abuse and harm. It's the same dynamic. And I know that that's hard for a lot of people to say because we want to go into the helpless victim when someone does something to us that's horrible. But the problem with that is that, again, you live in a hologram, and the laws of co-creation that brought you into that experience to begin with go beyond your awareness at that time, mostly any time, unless you're completely in the present moment. We are directed by the higher organism of experiences. Your life experiences are what they are because of all the programming of your ancestors. The choices that they have made are embedded in your DNA. You are raised in that environment with very specific belief systems that make you choose specific choices. And usually those choices are the same because the root belief is always survival. So anytime we are choosing from survival, it will always end up in more suffering. It's not gonna end up in you living longer. This is the thing. It's the difference between instinct and consciousness. The primal animalistic part of us that can only work with what's given in front of it and then responds to what's given in front of it, but doesn't access the higher faculties of the ascended human. The ascended human is the one that integrates the physical with the non-physical and understands that reconnection. He understands that he is more non-physical than physical, and that this is a matrix hologram. And therefore, the emotions and the intentions that are put into something are chosen carefully in that moment with awareness of where they come from. That's the thing. You need to understand where it comes from. So addressing and looking at what was desired in that moment. And don't talk about the external, don't talk about the material, talk about the core true self. What did we need in that moment? Listen to yourself, because a lot of people, you don't want to listen to what you need. You want to just deny, and this is part of the victim program, that we redirect the reason why we behave certain ways and blame it on the external. Well, I don't have money. Well, I don't have love in my life. I don't have safety. I don't have protection. I never had a father that took care of me. I never had love, a mother that was nurturing. So we believe those things. And so this is where we begin the journey of the deconstruction of the matrix. Let's go another layer. The deconstruction of the matrix with all of its compartmentalization, the role that mother has to play. Mother has to be nurturing to me, otherwise I am a victim of an incomplete self. The father that was supposed to be protective for me, but since he didn't, I now am an incomplete human. This is an illusion because the matrix makes us believe that the father and the mother needs to behave this way, and I want to be very careful how I say this, because there is an overlay of compartmentalization of roles, okay? In the higher order, these roles that are created are, let's say, a projection of a truth. The truth is what we need to aim for, not the projection. The projection is the idea that the mother and the father have to play that role, but the truth is that they can only play that role if they are whole human organisms. If they integrate their duality and they anchor into their truth, into their healing, they will automatically embody the nurturer, the harmonious human, not just mother or father, different roles. The integration, each one of them will be an integrated self. Only can an integrated self have the wisdom and presence to hold space for another human compassionately. And I want you to really understand that, because we expect that, but we don't work on becoming that. We have to become that integrated whole that holds space for another. And this integrated whole that holds space for another, it doesn't matter if you play the role of the father, the boyfriend, the husband, the grandma, whatever role, it's going to be the same. Okay? And now there is another overlay, which is our sex. And biologically, there's a biological element that does become more cultivated when it's a whole human, when the human integrates its duality and it's in the sex and it holds a certain sex biological influence. Okay, however you get there, in whatever biological form you want to take, essentially, or you embody, that will you will be a more nurturing, harmonious individual. Okay, civilizations of interdimensional beings, they are androgynous. They have that dualistic integration of both sexes within them. And the way that they hold space is harmonious, integrated presence. There is an intelligence and a wisdom that is incredibly intuitive, that holds space for the other person. And so, if some of you have come in contact with these beings, you feel that. And it's not something that you feel very much here on Earth. So these are fractals of our future selves. We are learning, and many of you have the gift of experiencing the presence of these beings in order to remember what it means to be an integrated whole. So if you don't have those experiences, it doesn't matter. Integrate yourself into the whole. Balance your feminine and masculine dualistic aspects of yourself in order to come into an integrated whole. And I showed this yesterday in the presentation. Maybe I could pull it up here for just a moment. Let's revisit what we're doing exactly. But let's, in the example of the masculine, okay, he goes from being in a state of defensiveness into a state of purpose. Okay, what do you need in order to transmute all of the parts of you that want to be in a state of defense into purposeful action? Where do you need to go from leading with force? And the masculine is not just a man. This is a man or a woman that has taken their feminine dualistic energies out of harmony. Your sex doesn't matter, okay? So if you have an imbalanced, disharmonious female masculine energy within you, these are the traits that you will magnify the most. The same with the feminine, the same with the masculine. So you need to get to know this. So for all of you that have asked questions so far, go back to the basics, sit down with yourself, connect, observe yourself in as much authenticity and honesty as possible. And again, we lie to ourselves. We don't want to believe that it's true. We need to be able to see ourselves as if someone outside of us was looking. So in your meditation practice, I want you to see yourself throughout your week, your month, your year. Observe yourself like a hawk. How do you react? What does your facial expression look like when someone rejects you? Look at how you react in that moment. Your muscles are moving, your nervous system, your emotions, what thoughts come into your mind. All of that is giving you information about your wounded masculine and wounded feminine. And I mean, we have these amazing charts of people that have taken the time to study these inside out. And they are tools that we can utilize in order to understand. This is how I did it. Okay, when I began to observe that there was an imbalance within my femininity, for example, okay, deep-seated belief systems about the role that I'm supposed to play as a woman, completely destroys the perception of harmony and balance in operating as a human in other areas. Okay, so when you understand that, you understand the desires and why you have those desires to begin with. And what you're going to realize is, wait a minute, that's not really even my desire. I adopted that desire based on the implementation of the role that I thought I'm supposed to be playing out. Our parents demonstrate to us how to process certain emotions based on how let's say you have a parent that's really angry all the time. You learn from them that in order to express anger, you have to be violent. And as a child, you're terrified of that, but you become it. And some of you, you think that you're avoiding becoming that, but you'll notice you're creating the same kind of violence in your life, in the way that you interact, in the way that you talk, in the way that you make choices in your life. You're living out the exact same pattern in different ways. So this level of getting to know yourself has to be a deep study of yourself. And this is how you come in to be able to accept what drives you into making decisions in your life. You no longer can be a victim, and therefore your suffering becomes a choice, 100%. So when you understand and you become accountable for that, this is the magic. You realize, okay, suffering is a choice. Do I need to suffer in this moment constantly all my life? And again, are you repeating the same pattern? Because what happens when we don't accept things that happen to us, or we're in resistance, and they cause these emotions of profound anger and helplessness in our body, it's really difficult for us to create anything. We go into poverty, we go into illness, we go into loneliness, illusion of separation, and then essentially death. Matrix has 1, so hologram 1, human 0. Okay, so we kind of have to take a look at that. And when I realized that, it really gave you a fuel. It gives you a fuel into understanding how much power you have over your creation. Okay, the more that you, and here's the thing, and I can talk about the different aspects of this, but essentially, the more that the human believes the separation, the more the human gets entangled in the material. Okay, the soul becomes fractalized through trauma. We create reference points around us. Our field becomes super dense and heavy. We can't anchor higher states of consciousness. You can't even leave your body during dream time. Some of you go and spiral into even darker places because you attract parasites, because you have become a parasite. And essentially, it's a self-destructive cycle. This goes back to that we become a centrifugal, vortex, depletion. Everything is about depletion now. So if we are in a self-destructive cycle, we will continue to deplete. The opposite of that is gathering yourself, okay? Why does implosion happen when we focus and redirect our energy to the self? Because you are a generator, you are a conduit, a bioelectrical, biochemical, multidimensional organism. And when you transmute something, you create a ripple effect in the field, an extremely powerful one. Okay, so we have a question. Please speak to the emotional trauma of being separated at birth from adoption. Okay, so this is a wonderful opportunity to dive a little deeper into the illusion of this compartmentalization of our society. And I wish there was something I can show you, because I have this map in my head that I wish I could share with you, but I haven't made it yet, so I'm going to have to make it at some point. But essentially, when you incarnate into the physical body, you are attracted to the ancestral lineage that you come into. You're not even attracted, you are manifested manifested into the form based on what is needed to heal or to experience. Source is experiencing through you as a fractal. And when Source is experiencing through you as a fractal, you come into form at the perfect time and space in order to enter into an organism, which is the planet Earth, the organism of the planet Earth. And the organism of the planet Earth has an intelligence, a self-healing, regenerating intelligence that allows it to come into harmony. For that harmony to occur, must exist duality in this three-dimensional plane. Okay, the holographic anchor is three-dimension, but all organisms are multidimensional. We have access to all dimensions, but our anchor and in the creation of this physical, which means particles that move the way they do in order to create matter that feels the way that it does. Okay, that's the architecture of the hologram that we exist in. So in this architectural structure, this manifestation of your organism has come in at a vibrational frequency that can allow harmony in the whole, positive and negative, the illusion of positive and negative. Okay, and so these dualistic intentions that you come into will define the kind of life experiences that you're having. So you incarnate into your family line. Now, some of you have more than one ancestral lineage to work with. Okay, this is a very powerful life experience. So you come in and you are born through the genetic lineage of one family line, and then you are adopted and by another family line. You are as familiar with the second family line genetically, historically, ancestrally, as you are with the first. In fact, you are designed to pull forward both family lineages. Some of you can have even more. Okay, some of you have gone through foster care systems when you were children, going from one family to the next. Every single one of those family ancestral lineages is encoded in your genetic code. And it is very, very powerful and interesting. But you mentioned the separation at birth. There is no separation, okay? And I know this sounds interesting because you experienced viscerally the experience of separation from your mother, and it caused a tremendous amount of pain. But that is the fractal of our separation from Source. You can say our mother and our father is the Source, which includes all potential, infinite potential. You are a fractal of that infinite potential. It is an illusion that we belong to a mother and a father. It is the overlay of the matrix that compartmentalizes dualistic energies in the form of a mother and a father, in order to biologically bring the organism into the third density. But the real reason is that as a vibrational signature of your soul, you are here to experience the alchemization of a starting point of an ancestral lineage, a lower vibrational frequency into a higher. That's really what we're here to do. And that is the architecture of this potential experience. You can experience it however you want. You can suffer all your life. But the potential is that you alchemize the experiences that you come into. So what we have embedded in our memory of our body is the severe trauma of birth. All of us, every single one of us. And the trauma of birth is, again, it's a fractal of the separation from the Source. The mother is our source. When we are separate from the womb, we now become this individuated self that has to learn how to become a source. That's what we're doing. So when you look at it this way, you begin to understand, okay, thank you, human that played the role of a mother. Thank you, human that played the role of a father. the lessons that we receive from that, that prepared us in a way that we can alchemize the things that hold us back in the illusion, are what will pull you forward. And this is where I invite you to take your attention so that you can heal yourself as a source again, without embedding and replaying the trauma of the birth. Because actually, we have to learn how to be born and to die every moment of our day. Every moment in our life is a series of experiencing life and death. That's the ebb and flow. If we become attached to any one identity, that's our death. It becomes a death, and it becomes a point of suffering for humans, because you identify so deeply with what you are being compartmentalized and given, that you forget that you're all. Okay, so that's actually one of the most traumatizing things that the human does to themselves, is that they forget that they are all and nothing simultaneously. I hope that answers that question. I've been doing healing on my ancestral lines and myself. However, the body is not healing and now is showing me the inability to function in the physical. I am unsure what I am running away from, because I've looked at this from every angle possible. What else can be done? Okay, so some people have illnesses that are meant to be the experience of this life. Okay, and this is a tough one for some people, because first of all, the question is, Simona, do you understand the root manifestation of the illness in your lineage? Okay, this is very important that you understand and revisit that, because in that is the healing. Now, for some people, some illnesses are not curable. Okay, they're or in the sense that they are things that they have created a change in this biology, a long-lasting change in the biology. What happens then? That biological structure that's created as a result of the illness is part of your experience. However, when you heal the core emotional wound, it won't get in the way of you accessing the things that you need to do. And for humans, your purpose is not just one thing. It's not the same. It's not one size fits all. People think, I need to be a healer, or I need to be a speaker, or I need to do these things. That's what it means to be a helper in this world. No. Some of you, the fact that you can alchemize your emotions just sitting wherever you are in that space into a high vibrational frequency and exist in a state of bliss and communion with your environment, is the healing, not only to the ancestral lineage, but to the collective. Okay, so that's just an example. I'm not saying that's your specific experience, Simona. But I want you to really take a look that when you understand the ancestral root, how are you continuing to play that out? And for a lot of these kinds of illnesses, what I've noticed with working with people that have illnesses in their life that paralyze them to the point where they really can't do more than just exist in that illness biophysically, they have believed severely in this illness, and it's become their identity. We need to break the identity of ourselves as the illness. This human physical vessel is like Play-Doh. We can mold it into what we need it to be. And there are so many proofs of this. Dr. Joe Dispenza, one of my really good friends, is talking to me a lot about Joe Dispenza and the work that he's doing. There are people that are paralyzed that get up and walk in the sessions. What is he teaching people? Exactly the same thing. We have to change the input into this hologram. Your body is a hologram. And I know that it's difficult to break that at the beginning, but we have to understand how this system functions. And, the suffering is a choice. So why are you suffering? What is really causing the suffering? So there, I mean, we can talk for hours, Simona, about this, but there are several key questions that I would really look at, okay, in order to completely change the patterns. What about multiple soul walk-ins? Do they need to heal all lineages? Okay, so the concept of soul walk-ins, we are one. We are not separate from anything, okay? So if you have fractals of yourself that are coming into this physical body, that's all that's happening. You are a morphogenetic field with infinite potential, and fractals of yourself. Let's go back to the fractal image of the self here. What does that look like? Let me just remind you what you look like. Your organism, it looks like this. So what is a walk-in? A walk-in is this little fractal over here comes into the main fractal here. That's what a walk-in is. But you're not, this is all you. All of it is you. Okay? So the answer is yes, all lineages have to be healed. But people that have access to multiple frequencies of themselves, you know, they have lived many lifetimes, and they are learning how to bring all of them into unity. It's very important. We fall in the illusion of the matrix, not only in the physical realm, but we also fall in the illusion of the matrix in the interdimensional realm, thinking that this part of you is, that's it, this high vibration, high self part of you is it. No, there's so much more. So it's important for you to do the healing work of your physical body, which will allow you to have access to all of these fractals. You will discover them in your healing. When you heal your body, you will access these fractals of yourself. It's inevitable. Okay, let's go into the chat on YouTube and see if we have any questions here, because I haven't been checking here. So great to see you guys. Wow, so many of you tuning in. Cedric, so great to see you. Shine, welcome. Darina, welcome. Custom molding, so wonderful to see you here. If you have questions, please put them on capital letters so that I can answer them for you. Okay. 37 Quadro, hey, great to see you. Rick Smith, so great to see you. If this is a hologram, then why do we feel pain? Right, because you are a physical body. Okay, it has to do with densities of frequency. Okay, right now, remember, different waves of frequency have a different impact. Okay, so let's look at frequencies again. Let's take a look at frequencies for a moment to understand the different densities of frequencies are what create the solidity of a matter. If something is oscillating at a high vibrational frequency, okay, it will have a different density. And again, in duality, in order to experience duality, there has to be contrast. So there will always be some density that feels more solid than another. Okay, when I move this or when I blow into my hand, the air that comes out of my mouth is at a different frequency, a different vibrational pattern than my hand. So I feel that contrast. Okay, but both of them are made of the same energy. So you are existing in the same way. Because it's energy, I can change the way that this feels. We can put heat and it's going to change the heat. We can put cold, it's going to change the way it feels. Okay, I can cut myself, it's going to change the way that this matter looks and feels. So we have the ability to work with this material element, this organism. And the pain is something that we create when we resist. It is the crystallization of thought forms that have been in resistance. When the human organism doesn't understand how it functions, It doesn't understand what the emotions are. It resists the emotions. It begins to store it. First, it's a thought form, and we keep reliving the thought form over and over again, over and over again. Then it solidifies into the realm as a personality. So now we have become an engine of reliving that experience, because our entire organism is acting, it's choosing, behaving, feeling, and doing in order to create that emotion again. Okay, so this is the crystallization process, that we are bringing it into wherever attention goes, that's where the energy is going. Okay, so we put all our energy into this thought form, in this emotion, into the resistance of that emotion. And so then after it becomes a personality, it then goes into the physical body. And then we start having aches and pains on the parts of the body that are the vibrational resonance to that emotion. Remember that our physical body is a self-organizing system of intelligence that has different vibrational frequencies, from lowest to highest, the organism of the body. So wherever you're storing pain in your body, that's where you have stagnant belief systems that have not been healed. Let's go back to looking at that in the chart, which is a very useful chart for you to use as a reference, by looking at parts of our body that hold trauma. There's literally an entire map that you can study to understand what parts of your body are holding what pain. Okay, are you guys seeing this? Let me see if you guys are seeing this. Okay, remember, okay, the different parts of the body, every single organism of your body is holding information, emotional information. Let's say this back of the spine here, the information, the upper has, the middle, the lower, it's different. Okay, the lower has to do with fear of money. The middle has to do with guilt, stuck in the past. The upper has to do with lack of emotional support, feeling unloved. Do you see that? So this is an intelligent, self-organizing system, your body. It organizes information based on vibrational frequency. And the reason why I'm showing you this chart is not because I found the chart and I said, oh, that's cool. I'm showing you this chart after working with hundreds of people from around the world, that when I psychically tune in to their physical body and the pain that they're holding, the information that comes up is a match to these images. So someone that was deeply connected with their physical body, or was a psychic medical medium that connected with a physical body, mapped out this information. And this information is can be found in Chinese medicine for centuries. We have maps of meridian lines and energetic points in the body that hold frequency in a certain order in the body. Okay, so we need to understand that our thoughts lowered into the crystallization of the physical body in a state of stagnation causes pain. And when you when you release the emotion that's in that part of the body, you will no longer have pain. I've experienced this over and over again. In my own physical life, I've done it, and I've done it to my clients. Okay, so they have a pain in their belly, they have problems in their uterus, they have problems creating life, they have a problem in their back. You have to release, but you know, it's not someone that's healing you. I'm not healing you. You are healing you. This is something that we need to remember also. As healers, we hold space. You can screenshot this chart if you want, but I also have these images on my website, and I have many of them, many awesome charts that you can revisit and see here. This is another beautiful one that I love. There's a front and a back, but as you can see, the vibrational frequency of the body stores all this information. Okay, why? Because you're a fractal. Here's another proof that you are a fractal manifester of this hologram. Okay, let me come into the chat again, and then we're going to go into our meditation. Thank you so much for that super chat, Mariha. Love you. Thank you so much. Mariha, didn't you have a question? I think you put a question somewhere, and that was actually the question that I was looking for. So if you remember your question, can you please put it in the chat again? Because it was such a good question, Mariha. Shine says, why do I have a negative reaction when I have a session with a higher frequency, higher channel? Thank you in advance. Okay, so I notice this a lot, okay? Some people, when they reach out to get healings, there comes blockages. They can't, or they get into fear, they have a negative reaction. There's a couple of reasons for this. Number one, you need to understand the emotion that is triggered, okay? If we have a negative reaction for the healing that's happening, sometimes we're in resistance and we're fearful. And a lot of times when we work with healers, we put all our hope in the healer. And this is not a good idea. And I know that that sounds counterintuitive because you say, well, I'm seeking a healing. Of course, I'm looking for help. When you go to a healing, please come back to yourself. Remember this, that the person that you're seeking help isn't actually healing you. They are holding space for you to heal yourself. The information they tap into, they're going to tap into your higher self and access that information and provide it to you. That's what's actually happening in a healing. Okay? So this is the thing that we need to understand. And what that does when we do that is that we avoid having parasitic exchanges. And in healing, if you go to a healer that has unresolved issues themselves, they will only be able to help you to the limit that they have accessed, number one. Number two, in all cases, you are attracted to a healer because you are in resonance. You heal them as much as they heal you. And you might not think that, but you do. It is so amazing. Even the reader receives something from the person they are reading, learning something. There's an expansion of consciousness. This is the exchange, the mutual symbiotic exchange that happens through our free will of actions. But again, free will in a sense where even the healing that you have designed is something that was agreed upon on higher levels before you even came into that healing. The souls are already working together. I see this a lot with my clients because clients, sometimes they already are doing some work ahead of time. They resonate with the healing work. And by the time we meet together, it's like we just pick up where we left off into a deeper level or into another direction that they were not able to reach. So it's teamwork. We're working together. And this is what healing is. But it's important for you to take accountability fully for yourself and understand nobody can do anything to you. And that's either positive or negative. Even dark magic doesn't work on the sovereign human that is completely connected to themselves and in control of their hologram. So this is something that we need to understand, okay? Where can we find the ailments in the body chart? You can grab them on my website. All right. Do we have to know what trauma we are released that we discovered in our meditation? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Okay. So in my work that I share with you, I am a tremendous advocate of understanding that you need to know yourself and you need to know every cell of your body. This is how you tap into higher octaves of information. If there is any part of you that is afraid of knowing any part of you, that's your limitation. You will not be able to manifest wealth, relationships, love, health in any part of your life unless you enter into those shadow parts. because by design, your entire life purpose is designed with the frequency of those limitations at the time of birth in order for you to overcome them. So if you want to have a purpose, before thinking about being of service to others, you must heal this vessel first. You need to know yourself. You cannot heal other people if you don't know yourself deeply. Okay? All right. So let's go into our meditation today. All right. I want you to breathe deeply, get into a state of complete relaxation. Come into stillness. The deeper the stillness that you come into, the deeper you are reconnecting with yourself as a whole. With every breath you take, as you inhale and exhale, bring your mind into a state of stillness. Bring your mind from the past into the now, absolutely now. That means that you have to observe with your body, with every part of your body, observe your surroundings. Feel your surroundings. In the stillness, you can feel and sense your environment. And your environment is an extension of yourself. The more disconnected you are from the body, the less you know what is around you and why. The less you know why things in your life are happening the way they are. So as you come into this body in a state of observation, breathing deeply down to the base of the spine, we're going to go deeper. You might notice, some of you that are in states of survival, that the more you go into a state of stillness, the more you want to go into survival and run away. I want you to breathe through these urges. This can be manifested in tics in your body or movements. Okay? If your body has a hard time being still, you have a lot of unresolved emotions. So allow yourself to breathe through the discomfort of bringing yourself into stillness. If you have pain in your body, the pain might intensify, but it will intensify temporarily because you are finally allowing your body to feel. And you might think that feeling that pain will kill you because it's so strong, but actually going into that pain is what will liberate you from continuing to feel the pain. Remember, consciousness changes when it is observed, and you are consciousness. So as you begin to connect with your body, let's go deeper into our observation. Notice the muscles in your body, relax them completely, all of them at once. When you become a master of the body, you begin to be able to completely release all the muscles of the body with one direction, one intention. Okay, so what happens is that you will feel the sensation of buzzing in your body. And that buzzing is the depletion of your life force. Okay, when you're using a lot of energy to move around, to shift, to move, to avoid, you're leaking your life force out of your body. So allow yourself to come into a state of non-judgment, because what happens at this point is that you want to judge what's happening. So I want you to completely now become the master of your mind and your nervous system by not judging any sensation that comes up, any discomfort, any pain. You're going to come into neutrality. The next step is that you'll probably notice that some of you tend to hold your breath. If you are holding your breath, you are judging. Anytime that you hold your breath, you're judging. When you're breathing, you are in observation. You first observe your breath, and then you learn to train to draw your attention to the observation of your body and then your surroundings. Allow yourself to sit with any discomfort, to observe any discomfort. As soon as you begin to observe the discomforts in your body, you're going to know, it's going to tell you exactly why you're uncomfortable. You're going to become aware of emotions that you didn't know you were feeling. You're going to become aware of thoughts that you didn't know you were thinking. Most of us walk around doing all kinds of things that we're not aware of. That is the hypnotized human in the matrix. That's a sleepy person that is asleep. The self-aware human masters their every move and their intention. And they are the most successful, healthiest, vibrant, and in communion with nature, in harmonious communion with the whole. And you can tell this person by looking at their vibrational frequency. When you cultivate your field. So let's go ahead and cultivate that field now. You'll notice that your body can become warmer because your energy is being redirected into the stillness of observation, and you are tapping into the conduit abilities of your body. So breathing down to the base of the spine and exhaling with every breath you take, allowing yourself to come into deeper coherence with yourself. We're not judging anything that's coming up. Go ahead and go to the root chakra, shrink the root chakra down to the size of a dime. Breathe deeply any resistance to shrink any one of these chakras. Be mindful of your muscles and your nervous system, that you are always bringing it back to zero again. Go up into your sacral. Go ahead and shrink your sacral chakra down to the size of a dime. Go up into your solar. Shrink the solar plexus down to the size of a dime. Go up into the heart. Go ahead and expand the heart chakra, opening the center of coherence. Go up into the throat, expanding the throat chakra. Go into the third eye. Master your body. You are the master of this body. You are not the emotions. You are not the trauma. You are a soul. You are infinite potential. You are light. Redirect your attention back into the life force that you are, because that is where your power is of creation. You're going to go up into your crown, to your seventh and your eighth. Go ahead and expand the seventh and eighth body. I want you to tune into your field around you. I want you to clear your field from any debris. Go ahead and scan your multidimensional body and begin to notice for any blockages in your body, in your multidimensional body, any stagnant emotions. You should be able to see yourself inside of a sphere, and that sphere should be nice and crystal clear with nothing inside, and it feels fully open and clear all around you. If your body doesn't feel clear and open around the back of your body, upper body, lower body, back of your body, these are stagnant emotions. If you have absolutely no idea what's happening in the back of your body, then we are always externalizing our attention. So the back of our bodies is the subconscious mind. Many of you are completely disconnected with what is occurring in your subconscious mind. So this is why it's so dark, dormant, and unknown. Allow yourself to bring your attention to the back of your body. Clear any heaviness that you sense back there. Some of you will sense it, you will see it, some of you will feel it, some of you will know it, some of you will hear it. Pay attention. There is no right or wrong way as long as you are communicating with your body. Go ahead and clear out of your field those blockages. A lot of the stress and anxiety and suffering that you're feeling is because these are filling your space, these blockages. So clear them out. You don't need to go to someone to clear it out. You can do this right here, right now. And you can do it anytime. Don't doubt yourself. If you feel that something is not clear, it's not. Listen and pay attention to yourself enough to follow through completely with what needs to be cleared. Sometimes some of you might have to sit for maybe an hour, and that's okay. What happens at the other side of that hour is a major change in your life. That's how important it is. Let's go deeper. We're going to help ourselves remove these blockages. From the center of the earth, go ahead and bring up a powerful wave of green life force that comes rushing up into the body, creating a vortex. You'll notice how much easier it is to clean up debris when you run energy. From source, bring down cosmic gold energy from the crown of the head, combining with the green earth energy. You're going to send 10% of that back down to the center of the earth. Allow yourself to eliminate any other heavy debris that are still there. You're going to take 80% of that up your spine. Go ahead and clear your heart, your throat, your third eye, and your crown. These are the most important chakras. Your ability to love yourself and others, coherence, your communication, your intuition, and your creation. What are you co-creating? So clear out all the blockages in those bodies out from the top crown of your head. Flushing out all of those dream states, illusions that you have embedded into your body as true belief systems. Eliminate them. A lot of times you will notice that the light colors change in your body. They become lighter when you do this. The frequency changes. Okay, you're going to take that final 10% of green and gold energy, cosmic and earth energy, and you're going to infuse it into the body now, into every cell of your body. Allowing every cell of the body to begin to absorb this healing. Breathing. Okay, go ahead and tune in now as you're running energy into the emotion that most comes up to you at this moment in your body right now. Go ahead and observe. Sit with that emotion, observe the emotion. Name out the emotions that start to come up. Identify the strongest one. Allow yourself to sit with that strongest emotion. Observe it. While you're doing this, let yourself observe the sensations in the body that the emotions are causing. So you might be, your attention might go to the belly or the chest, or the back. Just go ahead and take wherever you are feeling it. Take your attention there and observe, as you observe the emotion, how that part wants to react. Oftentimes it can be very uncomfortable. It makes you want to not feel it anymore and run away. But as you observe, the longer you observe it, the more information you're going to get. It'll give you the next layer of emotion that is available inside. So just allow that. Without creating it or without resisting, just observe. Okay, observe what comes up now. Okay, as you begin to observe this emotion, begin to notice the scenarios and the memories that start to come up. Take yourself to those memories and observe them. Carefully question how you feel in that moment. Identify the strongest of those emotions. Okay. So as you sit with this emotion in your body, notice the part of the body that tenses up. Go into that discomfort. Name out the emotions that come up in that discomfort. Allow the information to rise. There'll be lots of information, memories, thoughts coming up. I want you to maintain an observation that is non-judgmental. And you need to really watch your body. Observe your muscles, observe your nervous system, that you are not going into panic survival mode as you begin to observe these emotions. You are just exploring. And the more that you allow yourself to observe, the more information will come up for you. Do not judge the information. Just take it for what it is. And you want to ask yourself that you are getting to know yourself. So what do you need to know about this information in order to know yourself better? Feel in your body the resistance that comes up, or any kinds of emotions that start to come up. What is it that you need from yourself in order to no longer feel this way? First of all, what is the opposite of these emotions? Allow yourself to make a mental list of them as you recognize them carefully. And as you make the list of the opposite of those painful emotions and thoughts, you are designing a formula for yourself. It's a formula of liberation from the suffering created by this experience. So as you begin to observe now this realizations that you're having, what is it that you need in order to implement these into your everyday life? And I want you to notice how much this emotion really affects your life. It affects the choices that you make, the way that you feel, the things that you eat, the actions that you take. It affects everything. So what do you need in order to no longer embody that? What would be the opposite of that? And in order to sustain this opposite, what needs to change in your life right now? Very good. So as you notice that as you identify this, everything comes back to the self. Everything comes back to the self. Okay? You are the creator and the provider of your needs, of your fears, of your love. So I want you to allow yourself to hold space for yourself with what you need. I want you to see all the fractals of yourself from the birth until now that have experienced this exact same suffering over and over again. Bring them back into that reconnection to themselves, where they are no longer longing outside of themselves, seeking outside of themselves, searching outside, needing. They become the conduit of all that they require. And the human requirement is very simple. The answer is love. All that the human yearns for is love, which is a fractal of its reconnection of source. The reconnection of its source is love. It's not a romantic emotion. It is a reconnection to source. The bliss state of self-awareness and existing in a harmonious coherence with yourself, which then projects into this holographic experience called life. So allow all these fractals of you to begin to tune in to that reconnection as they are reminded. So right now you are activating that ancestral memory now, because your wave frequency of your body has shifted tremendously. And so here is where these miracles and synchronicities begin to happen. I want you to memorize this in your cells, memorize it in the muscle system, that you can recreate this state every moment of your day, and it will transform your life from the inside out. And all of the fears and the illusions that come in to try to interrupt it, we understand deeply that they are illusions. What is real, what creates, is this bliss state, harmony. We bring all our surroundings into harmonious cooperation with our co-creation. So I want you to take your attention out to your surroundings with your eyes closed. I just want you to sense into your surroundings. As you become aware of your surroundings, visualize them with your eyes closed. And just notice how everything around you is a reflection of yourself. This can be order, disorder. It can be light, darkness. Everything that is around you, the sensations, the smells, are a reflection of you. Okay, so as you begin to see the fractals of yourself, remembering this empowering, this surrender into empowerment, where when you surrender, you are empowered. See them integrating into oneself in front of you. I want you to inhale deeply, taking it back into your body. Go ahead and cut the cords with all the ancestors that have repeated this belief system of disconnect from the source as a solution for survival. Go ahead and see those contractual agreements in front of you and dissolve them completely. You begin to work with your physical body. I want you to release all of the pain in your body that is still holding on to this belief. Okay. Very good. Breathing deeply with every breath you take, allowing yourself to get more connected with yourself. And we're going to go deeper. I want you to open that root chakra back into a balanced state. I want you to integrate this fractal of yourself that you have integrated. Take it into your body. Inhale deeply into the root. Clear the root layer of your body. Spin it as fast as possible until it's crystalline, whatever color you see there. It's crystallized chakra. Go up to the second chakra. Spin it as fast as possible, clearing out all the debris, limiting belief systems. Go up into the solar plexus, clear that chakra completely. All the negative beliefs tied to the behaviors and perceptions in this chakra. Go up into your your heart. Go ahead and clear out all the blockages in the heart chakra. Confirming to yourself that this bliss state of connection to source is the answer. It is the healing. It is the truth of your body. If it is true for you, acknowledge that it is. Integrate it fully. Love is not externalized. It is with the self. Okay. Go up into the throat now. Clear out all the fear programs in the throat. Go up into the third eye. Go ahead and clear out limiting belief systems in the third eye. You're going to activate your crown, your seventh and eighth. Go ahead and see what color you see here and illuminate it with that color. You're going to illuminate the areas of your career, abundance, love, consciousness, health, family, support, success, sexual energy and creative life force, creativity, family. This is your children, if you have children, and your purpose. Fill it in. Go ahead and shine that crown light on top of a room full of karmic contracts. Clear them out. Clear that room completely. Okay. Go ahead and allow yourself to activate the ninth, the 10th. Expand the 10th layer of your body. Clear it out. The 11th, the 12th. Clear and expand. The 13th. Clear and expand. The 14th. Clear and expand. The 15th. The 16th. The 17th. The 18th. The 19th. The 20th. 21. Clear and expand. 22. Clear and expand. 23. And 24. Clear and expand. Go ahead and see that white light above you. Anchor that white light down through your body. Let it flow through. Instead of our emotions running through our body, allow this source reconnection, this awareness of yourself as the whole, flood your body. Anchor down through the perineum into the center of the earth. Go ahead and see a pillar of light through the center core of your belly out through the perimeter of the earth. Very good. Go ahead and open your eyes and come back into the room. And as you open your eyes, you're going to continue to see your grounding, your chakras in alignment connecting up to the 24th. Go ahead and sustain yourself in this state of constant observation. And I invite you to be here throughout the rest of this day and hopefully the next week. And I want to thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an honor to host space here with you. If you guys have any questions, you guys can put it in the chat, and I will be sure to answer it next time as well. I want to thank you so much for your super chats. They really mean the world to me. They help support me and help keep these programs safe, free, and available to you guys. Okay. Thank you so much. All my love to you. And I hope you guys have an incredible week. Oh, hold on. One question. You talked about creating class that help children process their trauma and emotions. Have you thought of creating experiential live workshop with interactive process that creates immediate transformation? Yes, yes. I will be doing that, Charles. I'm working on that. Um, and we will be putting those out pretty soon. So hang in there. It's all coming. Just uh, have a lot to do. Love you so much. And I will see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.